And we're starting the stream. Okay, we're live.
Hi.
That was the most energetic start to the stream I think we've ever had.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Welcome to Tech Talk and, all that. Yeah.
So here we are, number 77. I put on there live at 5 p.m. Pacific time instead of the major topic at hand, only because I wanted people to save all of their emotions until the time has arrived. But Santa Claus has joined us today from the North Pole. No, actually, Ed is here to. He's gonna stick around for a little bit, but he's here to promote something that is new for their community, and I wanted to give him an opportunity to kind of talk about that. So, Ed, why don't you go ahead and take that away, and then we'll do the intro.
Don't you think we should roll the intro first? Aren't you getting a little ahead of yourself there,
Make me
sir?
sing, aren't
Yeah, what's
you?
up, guys?
Yes.
Welcome to Tech Talk and, Yes, you are.
Audio.
Yeah.
I hear. Damn it! You would think I would stop looping playback at this point, huh? 77 shows in, you'd think I would remember to mute the damn stream. Fine, I'm just rolling the intro first. Sorry, Ed.
Just say go.
Ed, go ahead. Go.
You're watching Tech Talk. We're headbanging the Tech Talk. You're watching Tech Talk. Yeah.
Whoa, dude. You guys saw the intro. You didn't get to see Ed headbanging.
Ed was headbanging. He was actually having to hang on to his glasses and his
That
headphones.
was some serious headbanging right there.
Maybe if
Oh
you're
my
gonna
god.
do it right. What else is there?
Own it, Ed. Own it.
Whoa, my bad.
All
There
right,
we go.
so Ed, what are you promoting there, boss?
Okay, so what we got going on is, and I've been hinting at this for a while now, beginning this weekend, we are opening up Sapphire Nation. This is our attempt at a gaming community for Sapphire card users, plus all gaming enthusiasts for that matter. Unlike a lot of the competition, this is not a Sapphire webpage that happens to have gaming. This is a gaming community that happens to be backed by Sapphire. And specifically this weekend, what I'm excited about is Sapphire Nation Live. Beginning this weekend, I'm watching the live stream. I hate this. I watch the live stream over here and you guys over there. And
Welcome to our world.
It's a rough life, man.
beginning Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing a 1-hour talk show dedicated to PC gaming, Sapphire Nation Live, and just bring their questions to Twitch. Join us over at Twitch at Sapphire PR, and you've got a chance. We're going to do some giveaways. We're going to take questions live for the show. We've got a GameVox server up for people to discuss the show, and then after, I'm going to come into the server for an hour to talk with anybody that wants to talk.
GameVox is really picking up on popularity, isn't it?
I hear a lot about it.
GameVox, I really like GameVox. I like it better than I like the other services. It's got a good social media functionality to it. It's very simple to set up. I give you a link, and if you don't own GameVox, the link takes you to download GameVox, and immediately in your account, the server that you linked for is favorited. So no more having to know IP addresses and everything else. Just bang, boom, you're done. So
Guys, also as a general reminder, we use hashtag on Twitter. Anyways, we use hashtag hash browns. Yeah, my brain is just today. Okay,
What happens when you ride a bike and get healthy, man? The brain's the first thing to go.
No, that's what happens when you lose fat because the brain needs fat to operate.
You were storing memories in your fat cells. Oops.
Pretty much. No, now they're just really small memories because the fat cells are always there. Okay, so we use hashtag AskTechTalk, and usually at the last maybe third of the show, we do nothing but take your questions and stuff. So make sure you guys head on over there and do hashtag AskTechTalk or whatever words I'm trying to say because words.
I
are
just
hard.
tweeted it out just to save us the trouble.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
It's been tweeted.
So Sapphire Nation, they're starting a little gaming community. What on earth would a graphics card company know about games, huh?
yeah,
What?
God forbid we know anything about PC gaming. It's not like any of us are real gamers or nothing.
No, not at all. You guys are just making hot pans and skillets, hot plates.
Exactly.
Okay.
We actually did. I invite you to go over and check out the Twitch stream. We did 2 streams of Witcher.
I have lurked in your guys' streams before. I've never announced my presence, but I've been in there many times watching you guys play and do some let's plays and stuff. So it's interesting. It's fun because you guys are enthusiasts. So
How voyeuristic of you, Jay.
It was funny because the second stream of Twitcher, we did a 2-hour stream and we spent almost 45 minutes helping a guy build his first computer.
Yeah, I like live computer builds too. Those are fun to watch.
I heard in Witcher that you can have sex on the back of a stuffed unicorn, and that's kind of piqued my interest a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been watching all the streams for for Witcher, and all of them are as fast as they can rushing to the sex scenes. We actually did it different. I know this is really odd, but we did stuff like live compare video settings to see what differences they made in real life to image quality and to performance. It's terrible, I know, but what can I say?
Yeah. So it's funny. I guess we'll just get right into it. Witcher has been all over the internets for, I guess, a few reasons. Obviously, and Ed, I know I said I wasn't going to do it on Twitter. It's funny. It's been a few days since the news really, and Jerry's just like, "Fuck it, I'm out. I'm leaving."
You coward! You're gonna make me do my Sunday show now, aren't you?
No, well, okay. I mean, you can say what you're comfortable saying, but there, I've one of the reasons why I didn't want to talk about this topic regarding NVIDIA and GameWorks and Witcher and game developers and drivers and all this sort of stuff was because I wanted one time to talk about it, having thought about it, rather than just instinctively responding, doing research on it, and then two, see if any more news came out from either camp. Because sometimes when you respond to this stuff as news breaks, you don't get the full story all the time. So if you guys aren't aware, Witcher 3, the developer project, right? Isn't that the name of the development group? Project, like PROJEKT or something like that. So they used a piece of GameWorks, which is basically kind of a tool set that NVIDIA has developed that devs can use and plug into their games to use technologies, that proprietary IP technologies, intellectual property technologies developed by whoever it may be, whether it be NVIDIA in this case for GameWorks, or I think Tress Effects initially was IP for AMD, which eventually went to open. But the problem is that initially people were very upset that when enabling Hairworks in Witcher 3, AMD graphics cards were taking a massive performance hit when it came to average frames per second and such. So
now, before you go further, can we note something here?
Go ahead.
The AMD video cards weren't who took the massive performance hits. The actual NVIDIA video cards below the current line took the performance hits. Go look at the numbers.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. There definitely was what seemed to be a little bit of a Maxwell bias in there. Cards that were running Maxwell or at least mid-tier and higher, let's say 970 and up at this point, were not taking as much of a hit. I believe the number I saw, at least that was quoted, was a 16% performance hit.
Yeah, no, their performance was not touched hardly at all. It was everything below almost got gimped.
Yeah, the 290X took a 47% performance hit with hair effects turned on. But I think the point of the discussion, and it's so fragmented, and it's really hard to talk about and keep things coherent because there's so many different pieces at play here.
Hey Jay.
Yeah.
Can you ban out the Dylan guy in chat? He's giving out IP addresses.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Just ban him.
So when it comes to first things first, a lot of the community, and by community I mean gamers, I mean, it does seem to be mostly AMD gamers at this point speaking up because they're the most hard hit by this, are saying that intellectual properties developed by graphics card manufacturers that favor their own graphics cards is detrimental to the community, that community being gaming. And it does make sense. But ultimately, the question I kind of wanted to pose to Jerry, and I guess, Ed, if you want to jump in as Ed Chrysler and not as Sapphire Ed, feel free. When a company develops an intellectual property and then the community starts demanding that it be open, when they have, as well as investors and are a business to make money, where do you draw the line and say, we've developed this, we spent money on this, it's our right to call it ours and keep it closed, versus, the community is suffering because people who don't have technologies that can utilize this program that is being threaded into these games are being negatively affected. Where do you draw that line, and how do you cater to both sides? I don't think you can, right?
No, you don't. The biggest problem here that people need to realize is that AMD has had proprietary technologies that they have turned over to open source, but the only reason they were ever turned over to open source is because they were failures on their own because of lack of adoption, and they needed more global adoption for them to become successful.
I think you gave Ed a stroke when you said failure.
I probably did, but no.
I disagree with you on that, but okay.
No, no, and it's absolutely, you're right. Being an employee of the AMD technology that you are.
No, that's not. I disagree. But go ahead.
No, but in a nutshell, if I believe that any company that has a proprietary technology that they developed and they can proliferate to a point where it's actually hugely profitable has absolutely no motivation to make that open source in any way. The only reason to go open source if you're a for-profit company is if you're not making sufficient market penetration and there's a way for you to be successful along with other people being successful in that space by basically liberating it and letting everybody have it for free. Ed, your counter argument, sir?
Well, first, I think there's actually two different arguments that are going on here. So let's adjust the first one first.
Let's do it.
If a company has spent money on development of a technology, they absolutely have the right to demand money, and for anyone to demand it be given away is wrong. Into discussion.
Stop agreeing with me, Ed. Just damn it, stop right now.
That's just facts. That's into discussion. However, proprietary technology in this particular instance, in the way this is being done, historically has been proven to be a failure from day one. You can go all the way back and look at Glide, which was arguably one of the best APIs ever created.
I remember Glide.
Glide was amazing, and DirectX 12 beat the crap out of it. Now, just real quick, to put the Sapphire on a hat for a moment, Jerry, do you remember who was the biggest opponent of Glide and proprietary APIs back in the day?
It would have been 3DFX, wouldn't it?
No, that's proponent. Who was the biggest opponent?
Oh, that was pushing for. I don't know off the top of my head.
Pushing against it, pushing to stop it.
Let's see. Back then, the other opponent would have been. I can't remember off the top of my head. Who was it?
NVIDIA was the company that was saying proprietary technologies and proprietary APIs were bad for PC gamers.
Wow.
They stated this hugely. Also, at the same time, remember, SLI. Now, in fairness to NVIDIA, the SLI today is different from the original SLI, but it's based on the SLI that was created by 3DFX.
Right.
And when that first came out, I remember this little company with a green logo yelling, screaming, having a fit that multiple video cards were a waste of time and completely useless for PC gamers and had no point in the future. So, I mean, let's...
Wow, they sure showed them.
Let's get real. The point though I'm trying to make is this. Proprietary technologies. I'll get off the Sapphire soapbox.
No, you actually made a really good point. You really did. That was actually education to me.
There's no benefit to PC gamers for a technology that forces you to choose a brand of hardware based on the game you want to play.
But that's only if you want to experience the piece of technology at which is at hand. For instance, being GameWorks. Or I'm sorry, not GameWorks, and it's Hairworks. Hairworks is not stopping AMD users from enjoying the game.
No,
like back in the day, like Jerry and I were discussing the other day, if you had to buy a Voodoo FX card to play any game that had the Voodoo FX logo on it at that time, because the game was completely written for those cards, which were not standardized at the time.
Jerry, I'm not sure if you're noticing it in chat. Guys, if you think you have to hit my IP address because you're scared of what I'm saying, please feel free. Make sure NVIDIA signs the paycheck, all right? Let's be real. If you're not getting paid for it, shut up.
Anybody that does the whole DDoS attack thing is just a bunch of shitheads, in my opinion. Anyways.
Yeah, the guy posts the IP address isn't much better. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'm just banning them all from my channel. But no, actually one middle ground that I did want to state there, and this comes from more of like when I was younger, not so much as today, but back during the whole Voodoo rush, and I don't mean Voodoo Rush. I know that was also a technology that was a huge freaking failure. But back in the Voodoo 3DFX days, I remember that there was games that would use OpenGL that you could play, and you could use the 3DFX technology because they eventually adapted and used OpenGL. But if you use the actual Voodoo technology, the proprietary technology, you'd get things like anti-aliasing and stuff that wasn't supported at the time on the OpenGL platform, at least not by this. So I'd go to my friend's house and they'd be like just bragging about, oh man, look, I can see that much further into the distance, or the graphics look that much smoother, or the colors look that much brighter because I have a 3DFX card. And it's like, even though I can still enjoy the game and I still have good frame rates on mine, it was just those little things that the competition had that allowed my friends to basically lower that over my head.
And if all that was putting something into a game to enhance without ever detracting from somebody not using the product, I would say that there's nothing wrong with it.
But that's kind of an oxymoron, though. You can't say a piece of technology enhances it, and if you can't run that piece of technology, then you're detracting.
It's not a matter of not being able to run the piece of technology detracting. I'm trying my best not to put on the Sapphire hat for you. Let's just say this: if you write a code, here's what's happening. Forget GameWorks for a second. We're gonna go generic here, okay? So a manufacturer writes a piece of code for a developer. Now, the idea behind it is this. They're writing a set of subroutines to make uses of a specific technology, and they're doing this to save time and money for the developer. Okay, so the myth that the developers aren't paid to do this is that completely. It's a myth. There is a payment made, but the payment's not cash. It's in time resource development.
Yeah, I mean it's no secret that both AMD and NVIDIA send engineers down to various other third parties to assist in usually in optimizations and such, and that is a form of payment and manpower.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is, if they stopped at just writing that particular code and letting them hook into it, that would be fine. But a lot of these projects, and AMD's had the same problem in the past. A lot of these projects, they go ahead and they write the entire module. Jerry, if I'm explaining this wrong, you can fix me.
Sure, go for it.
They write the entire module, not just the proprietary part for their technology, but the general part, if their technology is not in play, that the game is going to use, because this is designed to save the developer time and effort. There's a single hook to this call, and that's it, and it's going to use whichever side of the call it's got to use. If the second side of the call has not been properly optimized as code, you've got crap over there that reduces the performance of the other side.
Well,
that's where the problem exists.
No, you're mostly right there. The only exception there is there's two different types of APIs that a company can write into their library, and that is one, conforming APIs and proprietary APIs. The proprietary APIs are ones that the developer implements that basically will be overridden or not even used if that technology isn't present. Basically, they'll have an if statement in there that says, if you're not running on NVIDIA technology, then do not even run this call. And then the other one is, they basically create a call that's optimized to do something, and then if their hardware isn't present, then they do a slower, more emulated version of it and provide it.
And if that slower, more emulated version is crappily coded, the performance dies.
Oh, absolutely. You could when you're talking about emulating something, I mean, a few lines of code can make the difference between 100 frames per second, 1 frame a second. You can even be a dick and intentionally make it slow.
That's the issue we face with the way proprietary technology is being used with developers today.
But the other thing, too, is it's really hard to point the finger and say that you're intentionally trying to make it slow for the competition, because the emulation that they're putting into play could be favoring their lesser technologies, like their previous technologies that didn't implement whatever it was.
Right.
And in that case, because their architecture is fundamentally different, what might be optimized for their architecture might be 180 degrees off from what the competitors is. But at the end of the day, all of the APIs do one thing, and that is basically go through multiple layers to convert all the calls into raw DirectX calls. They go to the hardware, unless you're dealing with something like Mantle or something like that, in which case you're going directly to the hardware and going around DirectX because you're using your own engine. But just like with OpenGL and DirectX, those libraries, that's the ground layer. That's what all the programming is above that.
Even though HairFX is, I know we went to generic, but I just kind of want to cap off my point I wanted to get to with HairFX, and then tell a lot of the AMD users out there right now that there is a workaround.
There is. There's a good workaround.
Yeah, just go buy an NVIDIA card. I'm sorry.
There's a better workaround.
So,
a cheaper one.
Even though HairFX is still kind of derivative off of PhysX, which is why it's pretty much proprietary. It's kind of a way for NVIDIA to get PhysX kind of back out there, saying, look at all the people using PhysX, when it really didn't take off.
They've been beating
amongst
that
developers.
dead horse forever, dude.
is the fact that unfortunately the AMD GPUs never performed as well at tessellation in DX11 as the NVIDIA cards did, and that's kind of the fallback in a lot of the binary as well as the source code for hair effects is tessellation. But now that I just mentioned it's tessellation, one of the workarounds that you guys can do here, and this works for any game, honestly, is you can just go into Catalyst Control Center, go into your profile for Witcher 3, go into tessellation and put it at any X rating that you want, and you can actually really improve the game's performance while still getting some of the hair effects type of performance. So that's one of the workarounds, and it's probably something that AMD is going to implement on their own when they do get official Wiggle drivers certified that are... Sorry, Jerry. You know I wanted to go there.
Drivers, that's great.
Yeah, Jerry.
Oh
Jerry,
God,
you know
I'm sorry.
I couldn't help slipping that in there. Once AMD
man.
puts out drivers that are optimized for the game, it'll probably end up manipulating some of those settings in Catalyst Control Center anyway. But if, in terms of Wiggle certification, it would be nice if AMD would put one out that was newer than 160 days old. What's up with that?
Yeah, what's up with that, Ed? Jeez.
Well, I'm not going to speak for AMD and driver support because I work for Sapphire. So
They're not either, Ed. It's 160 days old.
Let me put that distinction into place. I want to come back though to the directed point of this discussion at the end of the day. I don't see how ever on either side proprietary technology is good for gamers. I just see no benefit to gamers at all.
Oh no, you're right.
To both sides, but not to gamers.
No, you're right. And I've made this argument, I don't know how many times on this exact live stream, saying, card manufacturers having direct impact over the gaming experience in terms of what the developers on the games are utilizing in terms of proprietary is not good. And I've always said that, right. And I will always say that. But at the end of the day, both companies are still for profit with investors to satisfy and are here to make money. And that's why it's always going to be here. So NVIDIA is a business, first and foremost. Secondly, a community proponent. And, a realistic argument here, Ed, is that NVIDIA cards represent more than 70% of cards out in discrete graphics right now, and that's the majority. So technically, they are catering to the majority if you want to get really down to brass tacks. But then again, that's also subjective in opinion. So until AMD, hopefully HBM and the 3D memory, which maybe the reason why AMD's been so quiet is because they're really going to drop a bombshell. We can all hope.
This is... Now, I'm going based on rumors, guys. I actually know less probably than most of the press.
We love rumors.
Based on the rumors I'm seeing on the internet, though, the same rumors you're seeing, this new memory system is one of the biggest advancements I think we've seen in GPU technology in a long time. Yeah. We haven't seen, with existing GPUs up till now, it's kind of been more the same and let's optimize the same. This is a pretty significant change. I'm really, really impressed with the rumored numbers we're seeing. I can't wait to get my hands on one to see what it really does.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. NVIDIA was initially supposed to beat, AMD out to stacked memory or 3D memory. This was back in I think it was 2010 GDC, where they were like, look, Maxwell was supposed to be 3D, roadmaps change all the time. Roadmaps are constantly being updated. It's interesting to me that they pushed out and decided to pass up on Gen 1, stacked RAM, which AMD is utilizing, and are claiming that Pascal, which is going to be Generation 2, is supposed to be 10 times faster than Titan X today.
I saw that. That's a big...
Now again, these are slides. This is nothing more than what their target is. They're saying that that's the goal, is to be 10 times faster. So if we're going to start seeing leapfrogging again, and we're going to see, Moore's law go from, 2 times faster to 10 times faster, these can be very exciting times, as long as there's a reason for companies to innovate.
All I can say is somebody has to lead and somebody has to follow.
Well, but
and that changes frequently in this business.
It does, and that's what I want to say. As much as people want to peg me an NVIDIA fanboy, I love NVIDIA. That's my preferred brand. AMD and NVIDIA on the graphics side have always leapfrogged over each other. And that's what's great about that. CPU side, it's been a little lackluster for everybody involved, but on the GPU side, that's always been the case. And I think, it'll be kind of fun when the 390X launches, if it's just stepping all over the Titan X. All of the heckling I'm going to get, obviously, is going to be hilarious with the amount of people like, our GPUs are faster. And it's like, that's good. I'm actually happy for that. If you want to, what I think is kind of ironic about what you said earlier about NVIDIA saying multiple graphics card solutions and stuff, this is bad, et cetera, et cetera. Even though it's not utilized as often as SLI, Crossfire is more advanced than SLI right now.
It is.
You can do it without a bridge, and you can do it with varying graphics cards. They don't have to be exactly matched. So at least on the Hawaii side, you can mix like a 280 with a 270, and they will Crossfire.
Well, you can even go a step further. Mantle was the first API to allow you to independently control crossfired cards.
Mm-hmm.
At the original level, SLI and Mantle were pretty much the same way with the way they put out the images that they did. There was an alternation between the cards and in the display. With Mantle, for the first time, crossfired cards were able to be completely independently done, so that a developer could put and say, okay, card 1 can do the foreground image, and card 2 can do the background.
That's what I was just going to say. Is that it can render different portions of the screen.
Yes, and it could even with Mantle, not just two dissimilar cards. So it wasn't just that you could crossfire a 290 to 290X. You could crossfire a 290X and a 270.
You could do a 295X2 with a 290.
I actually have a question.
Exactly.
So if and this is me being ignorant of the tech, I understand that SLI is basically it's interleaving on each line rendering,
And
right? So each
technically,
card.
that's the way Crossfire works as well.
Oh, okay. So if Crossfire works that way, because that's what I was wondering is about the combined RAM. Like, for instance, if you have two cards with 4 gigs of RAM, you still only have 4 gigs of RAM because it's being mirrored between the cards.
Because it's only a 4 gig buffer, and you're interleaving the display.
That's why I was thinking it would be cool is if there was a technology where each card could actually render a completely different aspect of the frame. You could, in theory, utilize the full memory of each card.
And Mantle introduced that capability, so will DX12.
Well, damn it for Mantle not, like, taking the lead. That sucks.
Well, Mantle did take the lead. Look where OpenCL's going with Vulkan.
I don't know. I'm not hearing a lot about Mantle, if I'm honest.
Well, because Mantle has disappeared. OpenCL now, everything they did in Mantle was handed to OpenCL, and it's for Vulkan from here forward.
Right, but OpenCL is only going to be used for, like, cloud computing and stuff like that. It's not going to be used for gaming.
That's true, but there wasn't a reason to do it because DirectX 12 is bringing all of that.
Interesting. Well, the one thing that I will, where was I going with that? I just had a major brain fart. I was like, oh man, I had a really good idea. Nope.
I tell you what, let's put our tinfoil hats for a minute.
I never take mine off. It's integrated.
I've got a theory. This is a personal theory, okay? I'm stressing this. This is a personal theory, not based on any information I know.
Yep.
That means he knows everything firsthand.
I look at what happened with Mantle, and then I look at DX12. And there is so much crossover, a ridiculous level of crossover. So I've got a theory. My theory is this. I don't think DX12 was meant to launch as quick as it did. I think Mantle was a test balloon that Microsoft and AMD worked out for some of the new features to see if there would be developers get excited about it. And when Mantle exploded, which nobody thought it was going to do what it did, it just exploded onto the scene when it did.
Well, that's what happens when AMD cards get really hot.
Jump out and go.
The only reason I would, and again, this is me, I don't work at Microsoft anymore. I'm not an employee. This is all speculation and isn't anything that's under NDA and all that stuff I got to say for legalities. But in my opinion, Microsoft would not collaborate with any company on a one-side proprietary technology if they weren't the market leader.
I don't
think it was proprietary. I think it was introduced proprietary as a test balloon to see if there was even an interest.
The problem is, though, is I don't think Microsoft would have I'm just saying, I don't think Microsoft would have dedicated those resources unless it was being implemented on both sides at the same time, because they would have risked, if Mantle did catch on, they would have risked AMD having a markable advantage over everybody else implementing it later. And I think that would have been a huge conflict from their part because they work equally on both sides.
Guys. Yep. The only reason Mantle exploded is because AMD cards run way too hot.
Not if they're Sapphire.
No, that's true.
Heat sinks on them. We put coffee cups on them, guys.
Not if they're Sapphire.
Actually, that should be one of my tech tips. Just put some Arctic silver on the bottom of your coffee cup and set it on your AMD card.
In fact, if you guys recall, we had to develop beanies and scarves for Sapphire users because their computers weren't heating the room in the winter.
Aw. But because they just weren't going that fast.
Is it like
they're
Apple?
going fast. They just weren't hot.
Is it like Apple and the Sapphire Crystal?
The truth is we can't really like the whole argument that AMD runs like it's on fire. I mean, I remember like back in the day when like the K5 CPUs would come into my shop and they'd actually pop the thermal plate off the top of them, and the thermal plate would be like black and warped because like the CPU cooler would go out, and they literally would just catch fire because they weren't throttled like the Intel processors were. Or they didn't have the thermal limit that would shut them down. So they would literally just run until they literally caught fire. And so we used to make jokes about that and everything. But the truth is, I mean, all CPU technology right now, I mean, without, you don't put a cooler on it, it's going to just fry instantaneously. I mean, even in my Xeon processors, you fire one of those things up, I mean, you're not even going to make it past post before that thing basically heats up and locks up without some kind of active cooling on it. So everything right now, GPUs, CPUs, everything is pretty much running hot as freaking hell. I mean, so the temperature on a Intel CPU right now going full tilt like an i7 or something, you can get upwards. What's their thermal limit? It's
on the
like 90C, right?
No, on the mainstream stuff, TJ Maxx is 105, and on 5960X, I don't know if it's the same for 5930.
Wait, 105C?
Yes, on the mainstream, so they're like 4770K, 4790K, 105C is where thermal throttling will start. I
had no idea that it was that high. I know on the Xeons it's like 93.
On the 5960X is 88.
Okay, so it does vary a lot depending. Okay, that makes sense. What's AMD's current generation processor? When is it thermally limited? 63
degrees on the socket is where it's considered. It's not going to thermal throttle or anything, but anything above 63 on the socket is kind of frowned. Or, I'm sorry, 70 on the socket.
So I mean, they're in the ballpark.
But 63 on the cores is where you.
It doesn't sound to me like AMD's running any hotter than Intel, at least on the Intel front.
No, here's what's going to happen, and this is what I feel bad for people who are overclocking AMD stuff and people who are overclocking Intel stuff, because they don't realize that there's two completely different thermal capacities between both chips. AMD has, like the 8350K has a far superior thermal transfer capability between their heat spreader than Intel's. Intel, several generations back...
is that why you have all the people that are basically lapping the Intel processors?
No, not the lapping. They're delidding.
I lost you.
Are you there? Because I'm here.
I'm here.
Okay, Jerry's probably getting bumped. I don't know. Jerry?
Okay, no, the audio kept cutting out.
It was Jerry's, actually. Oops.
Okay, so AMD has always and always will, ever since they integrated a heat spreader. Remember, they were back in like the Sempron days or the Athlon days and stuff, the early stuff, they were just the die. There was no heat spreader. They've always been soldered. They've always been soldered, so the heat transfer is amazing, like on the 8350. So that's why when you start up a heavy threaded application or you do some rendering on an FX processor, you'll notice the temperatures will slowly ramp up and you've got to let them run for a long period of time, especially on water cooling, to find where your max temperatures are going to be, because they will slowly ramp up to their max temperatures, which usually on water is going to be low 50s, mid 50s if you're overclocked, on high 30s, low 40s if you're water cooled. Stock speeds. Intel, the moment you hit threaded optimization, they just go right up to their max temperature, just bam, immediately. So it freaks a lot of people out, especially when they move from AMD to Intel CPUs and start overclocking, to see that massive instant jump in temperature, simply because one, the thermal probes inside the CPU on Intel is much more sensitive than AMD, and two, they think there's something wrong. Like, oh my God, my temperatures in 1 second went from 30 on the core to 75 or 85 on the core. Is that bad? No, that's normal. As long as your cores don't exceed 105, you're in the normal range.
Interesting.
So people will say Intel CPUs run hot compared to AMD, but the difference is Intel CPUs can handle much more temperature on the core than the FX cores or the Vishira cores are able to handle. So it's really interesting. And what's funny is my room, when I had my 8350 water cooled, got hotter than the Intel systems, But again, that comes down to the fact that AMD's heat spreader worked much more effectively than the i7 and their thermal compound heat spreader was. So the temperature was actually making it out of the die and into the room like it's supposed to.
Interesting. So, well, the other thing too is on the AMDs, you actually have 8 physical cores too producing heat, right?
You have 4 core modules with 2 cores each with shared L3 cache.
And it still wasn't producing as much heat in the room as Intel just because it wasn't transferring it?
No, AMD was transferring. Intel wasn't transferring all of
Oh,
that
it was the
heat out.
AMD system that was warming your room up more.
Right.
And then
So
Intel's- okay.
so because of that transfer, and it's able to make it out of the core and
Which is
into
what you want.
into the atmosphere, people perceived AMD CPUs as being hotter. But if you want to be technical, Intel CPUs can be up to 40 degrees Celsius hotter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Ed?
Oh, I'm going to sit back and listen. Dude, when it comes to CPUs anymore, I used to overclock and push everything to the limit. I've just come to realize that at the end of the day today, for a PC gaming experience, there's just not enough gain with overclocking to justify it anymore.
Oh, for gaming, yeah. You're right.
And that's what I do. I mean, that's why I'm unofficially the gaming evangelist at Sapphire. This is my focus, is PC gaming.
Yeah.
Tough job, dude.
Yeah, it's an awful job. I mean, I happened to play Witcher 3 on release date and getting early betas of games to look at. It's awful, man. I hate it.
Terrible, terrible life you
I don't
have
get
there.
paid enough.
They pay you in games, that's it. Games and graphics cards.
They
No.
give you food, pay your rent, and then just give you a box
I-
of games every month?
I get Cola O and Cheesy Poofs.
Ooh.
That's right, because Pepsi's too much.
Oh, no, I wouldn't have Pepsi. Pepsi's for yucky people.
Yucky people. That's
Except
it's,
Dr. Pepper. I like Dr. Pepper.
I loved Dr. Pepper back when I drank soda. Or pop, or soda pop,
Dr.
wherever you're
Pepper's
from.
still one of my favorites.
Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
It's like Short Circuit.
Yep.
I
Wouldn't you
remember
like
that.
to be a pepper too? All right, so let's pull a topic, shall we?
Let's do it.
I got what I wanted to say out. Jay's official stance, as people wanted to know, intellectual properties developed by graphics cards that are put into games that require you to use their card to enjoy said technologies is not great for the community. I don't like it. As there needs to be alternatives, at least in this aspect. You can turn off the technology. If you couldn't turn off Hairworks, then this would be a huge deal. But
I think it's got one other thing I'd like to add to this. It needs to be technologies that provide something meaningful.
come on, watching your locks flow in the wind is very meaningful.
I played with Hairworks and without, and by the way, I feel the same way about Tress Effects. So I played with both, and I'll tell you, the only time in Witcher I played with Hairworks I thought it was cool was when I stood on the edge of a lake and watched a sunset and watched my hair flow in the wind, and I thought I was
you had
like,
hair?
my character was Fabian, okay?
Sorry, I couldn't
That was
resist
it. Other than that, I didn't think it made enough of an impact to the gameplay to be worth the performance hit.
Oh God, no. I mean, it looks good on the wolves and stuff, but once there's multiple wolves and beasts on screen, then even with my 3-way Titan X's, I noticed stuttering.
When you're trying to whack the wolves with the sword. By the way, wolves in this game, folks, if you haven't played it, wolves are nasty because wolves
Yeah.
hunt packs.
Yeah.
And when you're busy fighting the wolves, the last thing you care about was their hair pretty? Did they use pert this morning? I don't give a crap about that. I want to kill the wolf.
You're like, oh, I can see every drop of my blood in their fur now that I'm dead.
Yeah, it's a meaningless. It's a meaningless feature.
Yeah.
If they're not using the physics for blood splatter, I'm just not interested. But I'm going to go ahead and play slight devil's advocate and say that I think proprietary non-open source stuff does also help the community in some cases, because if there wasn't any money floating around in that arena, we'd all still be running around playing Unreal Tournament right now.
Well,
because honestly, the community, the games, Grand Theft Auto, all these games exist because of the massive amount of money that these companies have amassed by owning their intellectual property and not just giving it out freely.
Hey guys, Sapphire Ed gave us our new hashtag for the night. Hashtag whack the wolf. Lol.
Whack a wolf. Hashtag whack a wolf.
No, whack the wolf.
I like whack a wolf though.
But no, whack the wolf can be used as a sexual innuendo.
I think it should be hashtag Sapphire Nation.
Yeah.
Hashtag Sapphire Nation whacks the wolf on Saturdays.
How about we just come to a happy medium and we just do hashtag Sapphire Nation, and then just follow it with a hashtag AMD is for poor people.
But you didn't let me get to the part that's going to piss everybody off when I say it, though. And I've
I
already
do like Whack the Wolf.
Do
I
it.
think it's cool.
Go, Jay.
Okay, so for everyone who stepped in here at later on, even though I've already said this, I'm going to say it again. IP technologies and graphics cards doesn't advance the community as a whole, but when they develop the technologies, they are 100% within their right to keep it closed and sell it and use it and make money on it. So that's the double-edged sword. Their business to make money. They can do it. And if you don't like it, the only thing you can do is vote with your wallet. That's it.
Don't buy the game. Right.
Bitching,
That's the
bitching,
different story, right?
bitching about it on Twitter, making hashtags, getting your pitchforks and your flamethrowers or whatever it is you guys have isn't going to change it. That's not going to matter. You vote with your wallet. If you don't like NVIDIA as a company for this, then you buy AMD. That's it.
And if you guys are mad at the whole GPU wars, just go back and buy some old diamond stealth cards or get that NVIDIA Ticket to Ride technology. Or not NVIDIA, what was it, number 9? Go get some number 9 cards.
Oh,
Or
yeah, number
Cirrus
9,
Logics.
jeez.
You remember number 9?
That's
God,
wow.
had that moment.
So, that's back there with Hercules.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember all my graphics cards that I had, starting off with a Trident 8900C 8-bit ISA card.
I wish I'd kept all my retro cards, man. I would be reviewing those today. I'd be like, let's see
God.
how this Voodoo Effects 3 can handle Witcher 3. Let's go.
I still remember how sad I was when I bought a number 9. I bought a number 9 card. It was my first one. I was so excited because it was so freaking expensive at the time, and it had that Ticket to Ride processor on it, which only worked in games that directly supported it, which was like 3.
And it had an itty bitty wee defense. Oh, look, guys, that motherfucker.
What's going on?
So you remember last time he started mowing the lawn at 3? We moved the show to 5, and he changes what time he comes.
Oh,
are you
my
serious?
God. I swear he's like looking in your window, and he's like, that fucker looks like he's broadcasting.
Hashtag I hate the lawnmower guy. No, Ed, I'm not even serious. I'm not even kidding. 2 weeks ago, he came during our 3 o'clock show and was like weed whacking right outside the window. And I even opened the window and yelled at him like, "Hey, I'm trying to work here!" And so we moved our show to 5. And I was like, "Oh, good. The lawn guy won't be coming by at that time." Nope. Now he comes at 5:30.
There, I created a
Why
hashtag.
she yell
for you.
that
Don't mow
at
the
you?
goddamn lawn while we're live streaming. You goddamn landscaper guy.
Oh, that's
Here you go. Done.
You know, really, I could just go out there and do it myself, but you know.
Just have mowing wars.
We see you're
man.
in shape now. You should.
I don't own the property. It's actually part of the property deal. So.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys want some Ask Tech Talk stuff, or are we just going to grab a different topic entirely?
Oh, whatever. I don't care. Let's someone else drive
Yep.
this ship for once.
All right, let's see what we got here.
Ship, whatever.
Let's see here. Oh, guy actually used to work with John Akers, guy that I used to work with at Motherboard Computers. He actually messaged me and said that the HTP server rooms are now designed to run at 80F room temp instead of the old days 60F.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was just noting that like the new technologies are designed to run in hotter environments.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Let's see here. Ask Tech Talk again. John Akers asked another question. Okay, serious question time. Oh, this is
God,
serious,
biased
guys.
questions much, Jerry?
This
Jeez,
is serious. Okay, just quiet down. This is serious. Is
Oh.
it possible to combine these cards with heavy-duty GPU cards like the K80 and maybe the K2? I have no idea what he's talking about. What is he talking about, Jay?
Drugs are bad, okay?
What's the K80 and the K2? I don't know. Are these like super? I mean, what is this? Like deep blue cards or something? What's going on here?
I have no idea. The only thing
I
I,
have no
ever knew
idea.
with K or anything in the number
Let's see here.
was like Quadro stuff. Did you have Ks? I don't
I'm sorry.
remember.
I'm sorry. You lost me at K. You just lost me at K. Let's see here. Are you guys using any smart home devices, or are you interested in any smart home products? Well, I've been using a Nest for years, and I really like it. And I want to get some of those awesome light bulbs that I know Jay has before me. So, Jay, have you used them? Do you like them?
Yeah, I've got it on right now. I got my Bluetooth-enabled light bulb.
Do you just sit there and endlessly change the colors and shit? I mean, is it cool?
You know, it's really helped in some of the B-roll. That's why the B-roll was all kind of a real nice, like, low purple light on the keyboard review.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's actually pretty badass.
Yeah, so I can do different accent colors and stuff on the B-roll.
Now,
Right now,
which ones do you have?
these are the A-Data Auras.
Oh, okay. I haven't even heard of those
I
ones.
looked at them at CES, and I kind of did a little overview of them in their suite, and I was like, oh man, this would be awesome for man caves. I'm thinking like man cave. I had it in the living. They only sent me one bulb. Unfortunately, they're like $42 a piece.
Well, that's cheap. Like the Philips Hue stuff when it first came out was like over $100.
I know, but still, to outfit every light socket in this house with Bluetooth technology and group them together, it would cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I like it because the thing is, I don't really use it for the color. I use it for the color temperature. Because there's two different settings on this light bulb. And in fact, the review is coming next week. I bumped it to get the 285 review up early, which is fine.
You whore.
But the Aura, see, when I'm doing recording in here, sometimes it's nice to be able to control the color temperature. If I want the white a little whiter, if I want it a little redder. And so I use it for that. But you can control color, make it like a nightclub or something in here. Or you can just control the temperature. It's two different settings.
How bright are they?
They're not super bright. They're more directional, like a flood almost. I mean, they are kind of a triangular color. I can't undo it right now. It's the only source of light in here right now. But yeah, they're going to be coming out with different shapes and stuff. AData actually has a huge lighting portfolio. They're not just memory chip manufacturers and SSD. They have a huge catalog for lighting. So
do they have an SDK for their bulb? Do you know?
SDK. I don't see right now. I'll make it red. I don't know if you can see this. So I just made it red. There's still a lot of light coming in from the window here. We'll make it blue.
No, the reason I asked is because the Philips Hue guys actually have the ability for IFTTT to integrate, so you can actually have the bulb flicker and change colors based on like getting emails and tweets and stuff like that.
Oh, I don't have the auto brightness on.
And I was like, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. So, like, this is the. You guys can't really see. Okay, there it is. This is the temperature color wheel, so you can control the temperature of the light. Or if you just wanted to do a tone, you can control the color of the light that way. And then you can group together different lights. You can name them. So I could name this one like office, have one named living room or something like that. And then you can group them together. The only downside is anyone who has the app can control the lights if you don't password it in your home. So you could be potentially like fighting with each other over what color the room's going to be. So... But it was kind of neat, though. I mean, the wife and I have been watching Game of Thrones, so I put one in the living room, and I kind of dimmed the light down and made it like an ominous, like a red color as we were watching Game of Thrones. It was like mood lighting.
No, it sounds interesting. No, I'll have to check it out.
Perfect for man cave. I mean, what man cave shouldn't have lighting that you can control?
Well, no, I'd like to have colored lighting, because like one of the things I always thought is that you can just tweak lighting in post. Like for video and everything like that, but it's not that simple because you don't just you control all the aspects of light, not just one spectrum of light in post. So it's different. That's why like I did a photo shoot a couple of days ago with a friend who finally showed me how to use my camera and understand what the damn histogram thing was and all the stuff I should know. But we were doing a photo shoot and he was using the gels. Like he was putting red gels over his light that was behind the model.
Right.
Well, he had his regular white lights and his strobe and everything behind, and it would give this really cool effect where the model would be unaffected by the red light in the front because it was shining from the back, but it would affect the backdrop and like stuff around it.
Yeah.
So
I love photo booth.
It's hard to do that in post, right? I mean, if you wanted to do that in Photoshop, you'd have to do like perfect outlining of everything, shift the colors, blur it together.
You know what? I'll tell you this. Right. I'll tell you this right now. The best photographers in the world do very little post. They do very little post. I mean, why add all that time?
Well, Marcus is awesome. Like you guys will see, I got a vlog coming out tomorrow where I do the shoot. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this vlog where it doesn't come off as not safe for work because these models were dressed in some pretty skimpy things. But he showed me a lot of stuff, like how he does his photography and everything. And I always thought that it was a lot more complicated. But it's like it's all about controlling light. And that's where I really screwed up. Like you may have seen, I Instagrammed a picture of a bunch of stuff I bought from Home Depot. Because I went over there, he showed me how to use my camera, and he told me my lighting is screwed up. Because I have right now 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 CFL lights.
You have no control over shadows in that room.
I have no control over shadows. My light is all angled completely incorrectly, and I'm just flooding the entire room with a massive amount of light to basically get the camera to the settings that I need. And he's like, well, all you have to do is move your lights so that you have one light off to the left that's a little bit more powerful than the light that's off to the right so that you get a little bit of contrast, but you don't get the shadows. And then he's like, and then you want some kind of a light behind you, which could be my screens.
And you want a hair light.
Well, he actually I didn't need. He said I didn't need a hair light for.
No, not you, but I mean the
Oh.
portrait. Like for him, portraits and stuff. You use a hair light.
Yeah, he has like the strobe with the grid on it and everything. That's like up higher than the other one that's off to the left. But he pretty much showed me, and he was showing me by taking a bad picture and taking a good picture. But it's like amazing how just moving one light affects the entire thing. I mean, the photo is either good or bad just by the placement of a single light. You know, it's not like our freaking cell phones with just like point and click, get what you get.
Yeah,
and get out.
I love.
Amazing.
I love photography. Photography was something I always enjoyed.
Well, I finally got to learn how to properly use my 5D Mark III. I've always been wondering, like, why is this camera so damn expensive? And then I went over there and he showed me, like, what was it, the sensor speed versus
Guys, I'm not even kidding. When I went to Jerry's place, he had that shit on auto.
Like literally, I'm driving a $3,500 body with $2,000 worth of lens on it, and I'm just putting it on like green square and hoping for the best.
That's why my T2i stuff looked better than yours, because I use manual.
No, your video looks infinitely better than me because your light. It's all in the lighting.
Yep.
It's 100% in the lighting. Like the camera is only important up to achieving the resolution that you want and having a sensor that works with the amount of light you have. But any excess light that you have, as long as you're meeting the minimum requirements of that camera at a low enough ISO, any extra light is just a bonus.
Yeah.
Hell, even on my 5D Mark III, I know that the reason why the Mark III costs so much is because it has a really low light handling full frame sensor in it, and I was never actually using it for its potential, like at all. Like when he was using his strobe, he had to put a 4x neutral density filter on it. Which, guys, just so you know, that's like putting black sunglasses or limo tint on the camera, just so that he could actually shoot a photo at ISO 100, because he couldn't go any lower with the depth of field without blowing out the picture, without putting that neutral density filter.
Yeah, that's like when I go outside with my 1.5, my f1.5 lens. You have to have. That's what the matte box is for.
I know, and I didn't know any of this stuff, Jay.
Yeah, but your
matte.
You don't have a matte box. You have a shade, but like a matte box, so you put those ND filters in, and then you can rotate them, and as you rotate them, it gives you varying levels of light that can make it through. That's the point of a matte box. Yours is a shade. That's a bit different. But matte box uses like 3x3 pieces of glass that you can put in there, and you can layer them.
Yeah, no, my ex-boss Bruce, who's creating a photo studio. I'll have to show you some pictures of this. He has a 3,000-foot photo studio that he created up with like a 20-foot ceiling, and it's for photographing cars and stuff like that. And he was showing me like his camera setup, and yeah, he's got that box on it, and he's got a Pelican case he like opens up that has the glass filters in it, and the glass filters like slide into the box.
Right.
And he also has what are those? Like, what is it? The map?
I think Ed's reading chat, and that's why he's laughing.
What's the freaking light box? I'm trying to remember what the box is called. The soft box, right?
Right, the soft box. Yeah.
He has a soft box that's 5 foot wide by 15 feet long that just hangs from the ceiling and points straight down for like doing silhouette shots of cars.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at all this stuff, and I was like, why can't you just do all this shit in Photoshop? And
really,
the other
Jay?
day I learned why you can't.
Oh man! All right, we'll grab us some topics here that we can all engage in.
All right, let's do it.
Because I don't want to put Ed to sleep.
Oh, I'm fine.
Although it is approaching Ed's bedtime though.
It is bad, and he's obviously getting DDoSed hard right now at that 500 range IP address that guy keeps spamming in chat. Did IPv4 get more range and I didn't get the memo? Or
did anyone else notice it started with 192?
By the way, the people that are saying that I look like Gaben wished he was this cool.
Oh shit, somebody just posted my real IP address.
Oh no.
69.420.101. That's me.
It would start with 69.
It's okay. Earlier, did you see my tweet? I was like, my IP address is 127.0.0.1. Come at me, kids.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's ever been dumb enough to actually knock themselves off, but that would be funny.
You can't. Well, that's the thing is, if you DDoS your using your own internet connection, you're doing as much damage to you as you're doing to the person you're attacking. Let's see here. Oh, first question from Timothy. Have you been DDoSed? Nope. None of us have ever been DDoSed. Ever.
No, I have been DDoSed.
It's only the reason why I have like a Mushroom Networks aggregating router going through Amazon's back end right now.
I remember when I was like, I wonder how strong the server really is, and was like, you guys can't take down my website. Not only did alarms start going off in the building, data center IT engineers, like lead engineers, were called in out of bed to go over to the data center to physically restart hardware that had shut down.
Yeah, Jay's like, come to my website, bro, and like the data center's burn it down.
But just to be fair though, it did take about 1,500 megabits from the dark net out of Russia before it went down. So it was taken. It was, and I think they had logged 44 different attacks coming in at the same time. So it was pretty impressive, though. I'm needless to
Wonder how
say,
big of an attack it would take to take down Amazon.
everything could be taken down, though.
That's true. That's true. The combined bandwidth of the many outweigh the massive bandwidth of the few, no matter what.
Yeah.
But still, DDoS is like a pussy attack. I still think people should go back to like the olden days of like cracking shadowed password files and stuff and gaining root access. And, you know, if you're going to be a dick, like at least put some skill behind it. Don't just push a button on some program some dude wrote that commands some botnet nobody knows they're on. That seems weak.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel?
Next topic.
Next topic. Have you ever been? No, just kidding. Let's see. Let's see. What is your favorite sauce? Hashtag Pecker Pals.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, dude.
Kyle.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna double down on awesome sauce.
Kyle's pretty cool. I got to agree with that.
I really serious answer though. I really do like blazing sauce from Buffalo Wild Wings. I like the spicy. I like the habanero stuff.
I like mixing ranch and ketchup. Is that gross?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? Little J loves to put ketchup in her mac and cheese.
I've never tried that, but I put ketchup in eggs and stuff. I should try that.
She won't eat macaroni and cheese unless there's ketchup in it.
Makes sense. I mean, you'd have ketchup with the cheeseburger, so.
I told the wife, I said, if I ever make it to like Paris, I want to go into like a really like nice like creme de la creme type of place, you know, where you have to have like a maitre d' and be in a, you know, nice suit and tie or they won't let you in. And I want to order like the best cut of or whatever it is, and then be like, I would like ketchup, please, just to see if the chef comes running out of the kitchen with a knife.
Order like beluga caviar and escargot and then ask for some ketchup. That'd be awesome.
I don't know why, but I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to see if I could get the chef to come running out of the kitchen.
Or order like a 300-year-old bottle of like sunken treasure wine or whiskey or something and then ask him to bring you a mug.
Can I get some ice?
Oh, it's just as much fun in the lower cost steakhouses, dude. They come out to me and they'll always ask, would you like some A1? And I look at them and say, why? What's wrong with the steak?
And
They're like, yeah.
That's
No,
a good
I don't put anything on my steak when I go to steakhouses. All right, we're talking about steaks now. Jerry, pick up.
I know, Jay's like, I'm not allowed to eat anymore. Talk about something else.
No, it's not that. I'm just trying to see how long we can go without the, oh God, they're not talking about tech again. Hey, we did 40 minutes of tech already this show. That's more than we've ever done.
We've done good.
No,
yeah.
just turn the blower up louder, please. God, do you hear it?
You should just do like PewDiePie and just start screaming at the top of your lungs.
He's just standing there outside my window, pointing at the window. I'll show you.
Let's see here. Ronnie B asked, do you know if Google finally killed the Force G Plus or Google Plus gimmick on YouTube? If so, what are your thoughts? I don't think they have. I think they've backed off a little bit, but I still think Google Plus integration is like high on their priority list.
It's my understanding that most of the people who don't have a reply button are people who don't have linked Google Plus accounts.
That's how I understand it too. And not only that, but when you actually put a comment on a video, unless you have Google Plus, you don't get that little checkbox that doubles it for your fans on Google Plus.
Yeah.
So I would say just those two things alone mean that they're still trying to really get people interested in Google Plus.
Just to add to this, with Google Plus killing, Google Plus, we have discovered, was on the grassy knoll.
Oh, I see.
Damn you, Google Plus, and your bolt action sniper.
You know, I did an entire senior project on that conspiracy because the topic I picked was, or not picked, but I drew was conspiracy, and I was like, oh, let's go back to November 1963.
Ooh, here's a good question. Todd Gamester asks, if you were to purchase a new DSLR without spending more than the cost of a Canon 5D Mark III, what would you be looking at? Well, Jay's the expert on.
I'm not an expert.
So, Jay, what poor people Canon would you buy if you could do it all over again?
If I could do it all over again today, because I don't use the flip around screen on the 70D, I'd probably go with the new 7D Mark II.
How much is that?
It's $1,500 for the body.
So you could get two of those, well, more than two of those, for the price of a 5D Mark III.
And it does things for video that your Mark III can't.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing that pisses me off the most is when I bought the Mark III, I wanted to get it for the full frame sensor and the light handling, but what I didn't realize when I got it,
it's a photography camera.
I mean, it's 90% photography, 10% video. But granted, it can do video better than any other at the time than any other camera in the line, but it required you to be a freaking expert to use it at that level. Like you had to have special
Jerry
lens
feels
adapters,
like you had
lantern,
Jerry feels like you had to be an expert when really you just had to have elementary skills of photography to use the thing.
Okay, well, expert makes me feel a little bit better about myself. Okay, Jay?
And that's all about that.
So the truth is, if you're doing photography, Todd, the 5D Mark line, like the Mark, and I think the Mark IV is coming out too. I mean, phenomenal camera for photography. But if you're doing video stuff, I mean, you can get away with a lot less because the prosumer cameras are more focused on a balance between video and photography,
Jerry,
whereas the expert cameras aren't.
You know they've already launched 2 new 5Ds since yours, right?
What? There's a Mark V now?
No, they're not Mark. They're a different line of 5D, and they actually have gone more towards videography stuff.
What are they called? 5D what?
They're letters. I don't remember. Let me see.
Are you shitting me? So my stuff's like basically poor people gear now.
Oh, it's buying cameras is like buying PCs. It lasts a year and then something new is out.
Well, the one thing I do like about Canon bodies though is in the professional line is they never seem to deteriorate in value ever. Like the 5D Mark III is still a $3,500 body years later. The 5D Mark II went down by like $200 in 5 years.
See, if people were going to, if he's hell bent on buying a Canon for video,
I'm selling it all.
But you know what, though, if this question was about Canon only, then I would say the best like bang for the buck is going to be the 7D Mark II.
I'd agree with that.
But I'm in the position now where Canon is unfortunately their way of thinking is a little too big for their britches, in that they feel like, oh, well, no matter what we do, it's right. They're like the Apple of the photography world. They're like, no, we know what you need. You don't know what you need. We know what you need. Therefore, 4K is not that big of a deal. We're not putting 4K on there. We're not giving you 120 FPS slow-mo, 60 FPS. We just started putting on like the 70D Mark II. You don't need 1080p ProRes. No, you don't need any of that stuff. Even the C100, C300, $12,000 camera body doesn't do 4K. So with everyone wanting to do 4K stuff now, with the fact that you can crop in on 4K image and not lose resolution when you do 1080p ProRes like for YouTube or something, I would honestly say skip Canon altogether and go with like a GH4 and like a speed booster on there, and then pick any lens you want. Honestly, Panasonic GH4. It's not great in low light though, because it's a 2x crop first of all. So using it for like trade shows and stuff isn't great for low light. That's where the speed booster comes in. But unfortunately, the speed booster's $700 by itself.
But still, even the combined GH4 and the speed booster is still way cheaper than even a 5D Mark II.
Oh yeah, 5D should, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't even exist when considering video.
I think I'm actually, that's what I think I'm going to do.
Yes,
I think I'm going to sell my 5D Mark II and my Mark III.
Jace Maloch or whatever in chat, 5DS and 5DR. I knew they were.
Dude, I had no idea that because I thought the Mark IV was coming out. Oops.
The only technology that counts is 3D cameras.
Well, Jerry has 2Ds. He has a 5D Mark II and a 5D Mark III.
Yeah, if I place them just right.
Those 3D cameras all like die horrible deaths.
Yeah, until like things like the Oculus Rift and the Microsoft, whatever the hell their fucking helmet thing was called, the holodeck thing.
You know, Comrade Boris in chat, he makes a good point. He says you don't need 4K, you want 4K. If I had a 4K camera, and I'll be honest, for the last couple of weeks, I have been tempted to just hop in the car, go down to Sammy's, kit out a GH4, and come home and be like, okay, I'm good to go now in terms of resolution. I don't want 4K to do 4K videos.
I want that crop factor.
That 2x crop factor in this room would be a nightmare, first of all.
No, sorry, not the crop factor. I'm saying cropping 4K to 1080 gives you like, you can literally pan without moving the camera.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't get any good depth of field changes with that. But it would be good in post if I needed to fix something or zoom in on something to make a point, or zoom in transition into a piece of product or whatever. The amount of flexibility I would have in post with 4K when downsampling to 1080p ProRes, 1080p downsample from 4K is way sharper than a 1080p native resolution sensor.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I like working with the Volair guys. Every time we shoot one of the drone videos, like I just did that DJI Inspire video that I edited yesterday, they shoot everything in 4K on 2 GH4s. And it's like whenever I'm editing, I'll be like, oh crap, they didn't really get in that close. Even though it's produced as 4K and I publish it as 4K, even when I zoom into a 1080p resolution in the finished product, yeah, the resolution might seem like it drops a little, but it's still freaking 1080p.
Right.
So it still looks good. So even when I'm publishing 4K content, if I need to do a zoom, it still looks good.
Is this an omen? I just opened up my phone to check an email that came in, and it was Sammy's camera's upcoming special events in June. I'm not even joking. Oh man, I've been debating it, but I don't know, especially since I'm going to be going to E3 and doing coverage at E3, so I need a better event camera. The 70D, it treats me really well, and it would make an amazing backup camera or like B-roll camera or something. But I just find myself really wanting the flexibility of 1080p ProRes downsampled from 4K.
Well, you're like a millionaire YouTuber now, so why don't you just go buy one?
2 million. Hello. God, at least that's what everyone thinks.
We're all millionaires, you know.
All of us. I don't know what Ed was doing there. He was blinking at me.
No, I think I'm going to do that next week. I'm selling my 5Ds. So guys, the 5D Mark IIs are going up on the sale block. Although I'll probably be selling them like locally, just so I don't have to deal with all the internet red tape involved. If I put them on eBay, I'd get $50,000 for them, but then it'd be a scam bid.
Dylan873 says you need 4K porn. I don't think I would want that kind of resolution.
4K porn already exists. I'd assume.
You need 4K porn, you and your computer are just way too close. You need to go out and get a date.
Yeah, but I, it might solve. But Ed, it might solve the problem in itself, because when you see the imperfections in 4K,
there you go.
Someone said, Jay, check out the Sony A7S. Okay, the A7S I got to see hands-on from Albert of Tech Syndicate at PDX LAN. Jerry, do you remember that A7S that Albert was going around like nerdgasming over because of the low light capability?
Yep.
That's the other camera I was really debating on getting. The downside is to do 4K on that camera requires an external recorder. And those are expensive.
That's really expensive. Yeah, because it has to be a high bandwidth external recorder, right?
Right.
So what's the sticker price on that thing for the body?
I believe the body's $2,000.
Wow, so even that's cheaper than a 5D. Jesus Christ.
Everything's cheaper than a 5D. Like I said, Canon is like Apple of the photography. They just charge more and they're not better.
The other thing I don't like about the 5D cameras and that I like about the GH4 is that it's a mirrorless design. I hate how the mechanism that holds up the mirror eventually overheats and has to cycle. Like, you can only leave the shutter open for like 45 minutes before the camera's like, fuck, I can't hold it anymore. And it's like, click.
Yeah, but the GH4 can do it, I believe, for an hour.
I don't think the GH4 even I think it's just mirrorless, right?
GH4, I do not believe is mirrorless. I could be wrong. Oh, no, you're right. Micro Four Thirds, it would be mirrorless. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can literally just run that thing until it runs out of memory.
And by the way, your 5D, it's 20 minutes, dude, not 45.
No, with Magic Lantern, you can actually stretch it out to about 40 minutes.
So you can degrade and overheat the sensor. Got it.
Oh shit, I probably shouldn't put that in the ad, that I was running like Magic Lantern on it and like fire was coming out of the back of it through like half of its life.
You had to put a heatsink fan on it. You had to put an AMD fan on it.
No, this is what cracks me up though, Jay. Is so I went and did a little research on selling like high-end photography equipment. This is months ago, and I noticed that the thing that everybody seems to ask for is the shutter iterations. They want to know how many times the shutter's been activated, because that's an indicator of the life of the camera, right?
Right.
But since I always shoot video, I only activate the shutter like a couple of times, shooting an entire video a day. So it's like my 5D Mark III has only had the shutter activated like a few thousand times. So it looks like I've only used it for like a weekend, but realistically the shutter's been open like most of its life, and the motor's probably like
But when it sits open like that, it's not actuating, so it's not putting any stress on the motor, on the actuator. Anyway, grab us some topics. We got 20 minutes.
I'm sorry. Somebody just texted me some really funny things on Skype.
Is it 4K porn? Is it razor bumps?
Razor bumps, among other things. Let's see. I think 4K 60 frames per second is the future of porn, though. Let's just be honest, guys. Okay,
I don't that level of detail, man.
Hold on, Bob asked for a barrel roll. Hold on.
A barrel roll?
Whee! Oh, crap.
He just died himself.
We've exceeded the revolution of that office chair.
Got the headphone wrapped up.
All right, so here's a good one, guys. The Brick Files asks, hey, Jay, do you find there's a difference in rendering between 32 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of RAM?
You have to wait for my benchmark, but yeah, you have to wait for the benchmark.
Well, here, I'll answer it from my experience since I actually have 64 gigs of RAM. My other system has 32 gigs of RAM. Is it depends on the project. If you have a project that can cache that much data in memory, hell yeah, it'll benefit from it.
You can't apples to apples, though, because you went from a single CPU on 32 to a dual CPU with 64, which is still allocated 32.
Actually, no, you're right in that respect, but I'm talking purely in the respect of memory, because when I opened up Task Manager, when I was rendering my 4K project the other night, it was able to actually use 42 gigabytes of memory. Had I tried to render that same project on a 32 gigabyte system, it would have cut into virtual memory, or it would have had to do some swapping, and that would have slowed it down, even if it had the same CPU.
Interesting.
So suck it, Jay.
To do a true apples to apples, though, it needs to be the same system.
That's true. No, I agree with that, but I'm just saying that if the project is only going to utilize 16 gigs of memory, and you just don't have enough physical content in the project to occupy any more memory than that, it's not going to matter if you have more memory.
Yeah.
But in that instance where it can utilize it, which 4K, holy shit, does 4K content, like it's like a game changer in editing. Like the difference between editing 1080p content and 4K content is like the difference of rendering a 10-minute video in like 4 minutes versus like 16-20 minutes on my big system, my Williams system.
Cactus 11 in chat makes a good point.
What do you say?
4K porn would have to be 69 FPS.
Ooh, I see what you did there.
Chat topic.
It's like my ears are way too virgin for this.
No, my ears have probably heard more than all of you combined, but that's not the point.
I like I know what you're talking. We're all fixated on HD porn. Male problem. Hashtag male problems. Okay. Let's see here.
Guys, it's actually spelled MALE. Nobody hashtag MAIL problems. That you have to tag the USPS in that one.
Oh my God. All right. So Dan Kane said you teased it. Is Skunkworks really getting a 4th Titan X?
I'm holding it up right here.
Yeah, we're talking about Jay here. He's go big or go home.
I don't know if I'm going to do it, though, quite honestly. I like having the Titan free, and I'm going to need the Titan to benchmarks against other cards in the near term and medium term future, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I'm going to go on record right now, Jay, and say if you don't put that 4th Titan in there, you're just a little bitch.
Well, then I'll put it in there, and I'll ask for a 5th one. God, okay, fine.
The sad thing is you'll get it, too. You will.
NVIDIA did not send me this card, by the way. Neither did EVGA.
Yeah, but you'll send mail to whoever your person is and be like, oh shit, I accidentally dropped it in my other system and I used water cooling. Can you guys send me a...
Oh man, little Jay's computer needed an upgrade, so the Titan X made it into the AMD APU system.
Guys don't understand. My dad's editing videos for YouTube now. He really needed it.
By the way, that mention of the Titan just netted Jay another $5,000 for the show.
Cha-ching! I need a little sound that plays whenever I say Titan X, like the streamers when they get a donation and it plays a sound.
Whenever you say NVIDIA, there needs to be a
ka-ching! Ka-ching! What are you doing there? What are you doing?
In fairness, I guess I can't give you much grief because I've probably been on here more than NVIDIA reps.
There's never been an NVIDIA rep on here.
Well, you said, who loves you, baby?
I don't know. I had to send back the 290X.
See,
who really loves you, baby?
I don't know. The check hasn't arrived yet, Ed.
All I know is I get paid. I don't get paid shit for being on this show. I feel used and abused, and I will continue to do it for free.
No, in all fairness to Ed, I am fairly certain if I had a use for the 290X, an arrangement could have been made for me to be able to keep it. I said on day one when we talked about it, I said I wouldn't want the 290X simply sitting on the shelf, so I will gladly take it as a loaner. So no grief to Sapphire, guys. They have definitely helped me out here, especially Little J's system as a Sapphire card, and we're going to be putting a R7 260X in there, and she's going to be doing the upgrade as part of the review.
Awesome.
Hey, Ed, I'll make you a deal. If you send me a 290 R2, I'll actually hook it up to a power supply with a jumper on it and put it on my desk and use it to use my coffee.
If you want to ask him for something, at least mention something that actually exists. What is an R9? What is a 290 R2? Is it a Star Wars character? What is this?
Hold on, it might be. Hold on.
R9 290 R2.
R9 295 X2. There we go. All right.
295
so hold on. No. Okay. So if you send me an R9 295 X2, I will hook it to a jumped power supply and use it as a coffee heater on my desk.
I'll pass.
Ed, can you confirm something for me? This is a serious question.
I can try.
I've not seen any custom 295 X2s. Does AMD treat that like NVIDIA does with the Titan, where custom boards are not allowed to be made?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
AMD makes all those cards, and partners are just resellers.
Got it. Okay, so it's just like the Titan then.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Jerry, we got 14 minutes there, sir, and you're the Twitter whore, so
I know, but I'm taking a little selfie right now of me on show for a friend here.
Jay is a computer, says BKS Diesel 76. I'm a computer.
Go on, ask a question.
All right, Jerry, what headphones are you using? From James Barlett. These are actually the AKG K7
7XX.
K7XXs.
I know what headphones you're wearing, and you don't.
Mass Drop Edition.
He just opened his drawer of like 6,000 headphones and grabbed whatever was on top and not tangled. That's what he's wearing.
I was actually surprised though. These do sound really good. There's a markable improvement on these and the mid range over the 612 Pros, and I love the 612 Pros.
What are you wearing, Ed?
I've got the Sennheiser HD. I don't know. What is it? 918, 518, something like that.
Aren't those basically like the Game Zeros without the mic?
Yes.
Yeah. And then it's funny. I'm wearing a Sennheiser RS175 wireless high fidelity headphones. Now that I said Sennheiser, that should be a $500 check. I think. I don't know what the check our.
It's in the mail though. They have an automated system that just listens for mentions.
No. We auto transfer. I don't wait for mail anymore.
Oh, it's just straight up ching. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Cool about the sound. You guys want to do an interesting side topic here?
Yeah,
I would love to do a topic of any sort if you want to know the truth.
I would love to do a topic.
I got a hold of a USB headphone amp DAC, and I've been playing with it, but I've also recently started using Gigabyte's gaming series boards with their built-in DACs and their built-in amp. I got to tell you, I think the Gigabyte boards are equal to the amp DAC.
You know, we're getting there. I think we're getting there. Initially, it depends on the board too. Like for instance, the EVGA board that I'm using here has the built-in Sound Blaster. Let me pop it up right here. It doesn't say the actual model, but it's basically it's a powered amp DAC specifically for a headphone. Headphone has its own jack. And when I went back and forth between my Mayflower Electronics DAC combo and on my Sennheiser Pro or Game Zeros, which actually are 150 ohm headphones, so they needed amplification.
Right.
Going back and forth, they seem to have pretty much the same noise floor and the same sensitivity when adjusting volumes. So I kind of moved away from a DAC only because it was nice. I ran out of power plugs under the desk here, and two, it got to the point to where I wasn't noticing the necessity for it. So now a lot of motherboards, as long as they're putting quality components into their built-in audio and you're not getting any electrical interference, it sounds pretty good.
Well, the electrical interference is the big problem, because I used to have a dedicated, the Zonar STX, which is a very expensive sound card that has a headphone amplifier built into it. It even has the larger 1/4-inch jacks on it. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that if you maxed out the volume on it, you could hear a little bit of distortion on it. Whereas with the Mayflower, even with the gain on the O2, you could crank the volume to 100%. You couldn't hear anything, even on my most sensitive headphones. And so it all comes down to shielding and power. And the one thing the Mayflower guys proved is that you don't need a super expensive, amp and DAC. You don't. It's actually very, very. The O2 DAC is all open source.
Yeah.
Well,
anybody can build that in.
What I found with the Mayflowers give very clean sound, very neutral sound, which is okay. But I've always liked a little extra bass. The motherboard I'm using the Gigabyte's MATX Z97.
Okay.
And I used it for two reasons. One, because it's got the built-in amp. It's also got the op amp, so you can change the sound dynamic. Plus, it's got a gain switch where I can increase the gain as if 600 ohm capability wasn't enough. But the other reason is it's actually very inexpensive. It only sells for about $120. So I get really good sound and full Z97 support. And I don't have to have the external devices for sound then.
Yeah, and I've compared $1,000 Woo Audio WA7 Fireflies amp, which is a tube amplifier that I have. I've compared that to the Objective amp, and the Objective amp actually achieves higher volumes. And the only difference is the tube amp has a little bit of a warmer sound to it. But here's the thing: is I no longer rate amps by their sound profile. I want that, or sorry, I do, but I want that neutral sound profile. I really want and the reason why I want the neutral sound profile is because I want the headphones to color the audio, or because it's digital, I can actually mess with the equalizer.
Watch Jay on the live stream.
Is he snuggling his
I love that you guys can't see me as I'm doing it. No, but watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Wait for it. Wait for this.
Oh, you popping it up?
That card's not black. Oh no. Oh my god. Sorry, I've said too much.
Actually, you took some. What was the Instagram photo you posted a while back where you actually went and stripped everything off? Is that the card you did that on? That you stripped the paint off of?
No. That was a SLI bridge.
Oh, that was an SLI bridge that you did that on. Okay, yeah, because I thought that was cool. You sprayed the, what was it, aircraft paint stripper or some shit on it?
That's
really cool. You showed antiquated technology. That is so cool.
Yeah, I love antiquated stuff. That's why we have you on.
Shots fired. Out of it. All right, so let's see. Ivan420 asks, are the AMD 7976 gigabyte toxic cards still good? The answer is no. Okay, next question. No, I'm just kidding.
7970 is a solid, viable card for today's gaming still.
And it's got 6 gigabytes on it. Jesus.
Yes, it does.
Lots of RAM. NVIDIA needs to put more RAM on their cards. Let's see here.
I want 24 gigs of RAM on Titan X2.
Here's a good question for me. MBW101 asks, how much money do you make from Bitcoin mining? Okay, that's a tough question because one thing, the cost is all over the map. But basically, off my 4 miners presently, I make about $150 a month profit off of my 4 miners that are running right now in my shed. But that could change. Like back when it was at its peak value of $300. Whoa. I just noticed something in chat. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. Somebody figured out how to create characters that like span multiple lines.
I'll get it.
Get him, Jay. But anyways, the Bitcoin thing, once you pack the power into it and everything, it's still profitable for me. But you're not going to make $1 million unless you basically build out.
Wait. Everybody who's posting that is getting banned. Just so you know. Everybody who's posting
that, guys, dude. If you post that, you're gonna get banned. You don't want to get banned.
I'll be banning for the next.
A lot of people.
I'll be banning for the next 60 seconds because it'll finally catch up. I don't really care though. I'm banning everybody.
Oh, I like this. So John Akers made a suggestion earlier when we were talking about. I think we were talking about the AMD graphics card. And he said hook the sucker up to a high voltage transformer like in the old days. This is actually a funny story that I want to tell you guys really quick. When I worked at Motherboard Computers, we actually had a recycling bin behind the store where we'd basically, if we had computers that were like old and we wanted to throw away the components and stuff, we basically recycle them, take them out back and throw them in this bin. Well, we had a problem with homeless people going around the store and grabbing the stuff out of the bin and then bringing it around the front of the store and trying to sell it back to us because we'd buy used stuff. So people would come in the door and we'd be like, we know what that is. Like we went and threw it away yesterday. So to combat the problem, we actually went and took a neon transformer and rigged it up with a Molex connector on the end of it so we could plug it into like graphics cards and motherboards. And we had all these adapters to hook it onto stuff, and we would basically just pulse the neon transformer, and all the little transistors and transformers and everything on the motherboards and components would just explode and go flying off the room and ricochet off stuff. And it was epic because you could literally jolt it. Like some of the hardware you could jolt like 3 or 4 times before it completely burn out and there was no pathway for the electricity to follow. And it was just epic watch. It was like fireworks. Like all those little bits and stuff on the motherboard would just explode and go flying against the wall, and we'd like go for cover. I just
banned so many people. My next video will have exactly 6 comments.
I'm still up, baby. You got more to go.
Oh, I'm still going. Don't worry, I'm going.
John, I remember that, dude. That was good times. That was. I would love to get a hold of another neon transformer.
Next question. Well, he's banning.
I'll be banning for days.
All right, so Matt, I think he made like a little bit of a statement. He said Canon charges so much because people buy into the ecosystem lenses and have to stick with it. I do actually agree with that because a couple of times I did want to go over to Nikon because they had a slightly better offering at the time, and I was like, nah, I can't because I'd have to get a lens adapter, and then that's going to drop me down.
You know, that's why the speed booster is so expensive because it actually retains all of its electronic communications with the sensor.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why it's not just a $680 piece of adapter aluminum. No, you
can actually get a Canon compatible speed booster that goes on to Nikon. And it would transfer all the electronics?
Or a Sony A7S or GH4, yeah.
Wow, I wonder how they do that without getting their ass sued off by like Canon. It's interesting. Well, I can see why they get that kind of money, though.
But
What?
it doesn't work with EFS lenses. It works with EF lenses. EFS lenses are not the same as EF. You can put EF lenses on an EFS camera, which is usually crop sensor, but you cannot put an EFS lens on an EF camera. The mounts are different. EFS is the one with the white dot. EF is the one with the red dot.
EFS lenses, though, are already rated at a crop. They're already at a cropped rating, right? So, like, if you get a 50 millimeter EFS, it's already designed for the cropped sensor that's in the camera. So you get a true 50 instead of getting an EF lens.
No. You don't get it.
Like 80.
No, you don't get a true 50. But you get something closer.
It's closer, but it's not okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Let's see here.
When I put my 4 millimeter Rokinon Prime lens on there, it's really like a 50 something millimeter. It's like I have to go way back with the camera.
Hold on, I'm trying to find a question that's an actual question. Oh my god, you get these people that just spam the same thing like 5 times over, and all it does is just make me like ignore them.
Yeah.
Okay, so buy followers 1K for $12 retweeted. I'm just kidding. God damn it. Why does this guy keep popping up? Ban. Block. Anybody that buys followers is completely like forgetting the point of social networking.
But that's because they want to feel super special.
You want to feel super special by being followed by a bunch of robots?
Oh, Jacob over at EVGA told me that what is being used on the EVGA motherboard is the Creative Core 3D is what it's called. If anyone was wondering.
Creative Core, is that let's see, Core 3D.
That's the amp, or that's the audio system built into the EVGA, at least the X99 classified motherboard and the Z97 classified with the built-in amp.
Actually Massdrop has an external amp. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
What does their amp push? Are they capable of pushing up to 600 ohm?
Oh God, I don't know.
It looks pretty beefcake.
I don't know. Jacob's watching. Jacob, can your can it push 600 ohms?
See, 102 dB rating. Let's see, and it supports all the EAX and proprietary processing that you'd expect from a Sound Blaster card.
Yeah, and the voice changer is a lot of fun. I just can't do voice changing now because I'm using the amp. The
voice changing's creepy, man. You sound like Buffalo Bill from Silent
Hill. It was funny. It rubs the lotion on his body, otherwise it gets the hose again.
Voice changing is required for MMO gameplay because nothing will break immersion faster than the beautiful fairy princess you just saved from all the trolls looking at you and going, "Hey, buddy, thanks for the help."
Yeah, it sounds like Warcraft.
All right, so Joe Panico asked, Jerry, I saw you tweeted about Linux. Do you have any interest, or would you guys ever consider doing a show dedicated to Linux? Yeah, I don't know about dedicated.
You know what's funny is how many people got mad at my tweet. I want to clarify something. When I tweeted, if open source was better for the community, why isn't Linux bigger? It's amazing how many people took that as me digging at Linux. When it's true that Linux is not a widely adopted OS. And Jerry, you and I had a discussion about that.
Desktop OS.
Desktop OS.
Yeah.
But remember, Android itself is not true Linux.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was funny everybody came out with the Android argument, because that's like saying, like, if BSD was popular, like, oh, BSD is popular because it's related to Linux.
Right. So the point of that, when I said that, wasn't a dig at Linux. It was just to say, okay, Linux is an OS that's wide open. People don't like Microsoft, or they don't like Windows. So why is Linux itself not a bigger deal than it is? And Jerry, you had a really good response to that in our private conversation. You want to kind of give some Cliff Note versions?
Oh, as far as basically Microsoft, because they actually have a budget and they actually have money to produce. Well, actually, we talked about quite a few things. Which thing in specific are we talking about here?
No, you were explaining why it wasn't because it has no standardized. Linux is not standardized. It's so fragmented because of the fact that it's open. Do you remember? You don't remember this conversation? Were you on drugs?
I might have been on drugs, but no. I vaguely remember us talking about. Well, if you look at Linux from an open source standpoint, anybody can basically contribute to it. And all the modules are built by people that are not for profit. So theoretically, you're going to have better quality coming from a company that actually pays its employees to develop the software and are held to a higher standard and can afford to have a test team. Now, all these things I'm talking about are actually past Microsoft. Remember, this is pre-layoff 25,000 of your test team. But realistically, because Linux is open source, you have to have, it's going to have a much higher learning curve. That's why it's only really proliferated in the server community, because you have people with a much higher skill set managing the stuff. As far as from a graphics perspective, you have companies like NVIDIA and ATI. They get resources from companies like Microsoft that are actually given to them to help them adapt their technology to be more compatible with and more optimized for the operating system. Whereas with Linux, it's so heavily fragmented and open source, there's really no place or no money for them, for like NVIDIA and ATI to go really get involved in optimizing their stuff for Linux. Now, they do support some standards, like in Linux. Now they support like OpenGL and stuff like that. But OpenGL has never been a superior technology in the gaming realm when compared to DirectX for like raw gaming performance. It's been more used for like professional applications and things like that. And you're not going to see DirectX running on Linux. You're just not, because again, it's a proprietary technology that Microsoft owns. But I guess the bottom argument here is because Microsoft is actually making money off of their technology and they have billions and billions of dollars banked, they can actually afford a lot of people that can create very, very heavily focused, targeted intellectual property. Whereas in the Linux world, it's everybody and their brother that's just like going through some white books for stuff and like creating drivers and modules and throwing stuff together. Now, that's not to say that Linux at some point isn't going to be really good, but it's just not going to be cutting edge because they're not going to get those companies on board like NVIDIA and ATI giving a lot of effort and a lot of resources to them because they're not the majority. And the reason that the other one is the majority is because they're so heavily standardized and easy to use.
Jerry,
Does that sum it up?
I would take it even a little further. For a operating system, for the basis of a platform, we need a standardized proprietary system. Okay, look at what's happening with PC gaming right now. We've got technically 4 different systems, and games aren't getting developed well for any specific system anymore because developers have so many to develop for. You throw Linux into the mix with, as you said, multiple different builds, and suddenly developers have 10 or 15 different solutions they have to look at to develop a game for. But I'm going to even go a step further. In some ways, Windows is very much open. Windows does not have restrictions to hardware. Anybody can build PC hardware and it can be made to work with Windows. And you don't have to have Microsoft to do that. Anybody can make a program. You don't have to have Microsoft to do that. It allows a great deal of openness while giving us a standardized platform. It's one of the few times I think a closed standard is not only good, but really welcome.
And
Jerry?
it offers the end user some protection too. What's up?
Right.
No, I just wanted to hear your rebuttal to what.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it does offer the end user some protection too. Whereas with Microsoft Windows, if you want to install a driver, you're basically notified if the driver actually has a WCL certification or is signed by a trusted source. Whereas in Linux, you could be coerced into just downloading a driver and embedding the module into your kernel or outside of your kernel, and it's, you know, depending on the distribution, you may or may not get a warning. But the idea that Microsoft has that whole standardization process, like we were talking about earlier with the WCL certification process, is AMD hasn't had a WCL certified driver in 160 days. Well, what goes into the WCL certification process is Microsoft saying, it's on you to create the driver. You give us the driver. We're going to run it through a gamut of tests. And then if it completes those tests successfully, we will give you the WCL certification and sign your driver.
Jerry,
what's up?
unmute the stream.
Oh, are you playing the music?
Well, there's
God damn it, Jay.
there's something else with that WCL certification that has to be paid for. Microsoft doesn't give that for free, if I'm recalling correctly.
Oh, they did.
That sounds like extortion to me.
I thought they were actually charging for those.
Not that I'm aware of, because I actually used to be on the WCL certification project like years ago, like 10 years ago. They may now.
I would stand corrected. Like I said, I work for a video card manufacturer, not the driver team.
Yeah, because what we would do, what we would do at Microsoft is we would actually take a submission from any company that wanted WCL certification for their driver, and then we'd put them through the test. And it was a really simple process. We actually had a test suite that we would just basically run the thing through, and depending on the type of driver it was, whether it was an I/O driver, a video driver, or anything like that, it'd have a different amount of time that it would take to run through the test. And if you passed the certification process, we would basically sign your driver and send it back to you. and then you couldn't recompile it or change anything because that signature was applied to that specific driver, and we were giving it back. Dude, are you playing music again? God damn it, Jay. Now Jay's making me all self-conscious.
I played the outro while you were talking.
Did you really? Did you kill the stream too?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you should have killed the stream. That would have been priceless.
Let me get my last plug-in. Guys, Sapphire
All right.
Live. Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to Twitch TV/Sapphire PR. Join me there. Chances to win prizes and talk about PC gaming.
And everybody go tweet Sapphire Ed right now. Hashtag AMD is for poor people. Hashtag Pecker Pals. All right, guys. It's been a great show.
Jerry, what videos you got coming up this week?
I've got a vlog coming out tomorrow, and this weekend I'm actually going to be working on my garage, so I'll probably do another vlog on turning my garage into makerspace.
I was about to ask Ed what videos he has coming, but I guess he's working on his live stream.
Working on the live stream, and then we've got some gameplay videos. We've been looking a lot at World of Warships. People are enjoying it.
I've never.
I've got a video coming out tomorrow, and it's just a discussion that I have with a camera, apparently, about how powerful of a graphics card do you need, actually. So that'll be an interesting
The
video.
most powerful. Dun dun dun.
That's a halfway correct answer, actually.
Dude, that's how I live, man. I live my life
the federal
fast.
government approach. Throw more money at it; it'll be fun.
You know, that's how you're supposed to fix problems as they arise. You just throw money at it. Eventually, you'll find the
Whoever
problem.
has the most frames per second just wins, like on all levels.
Well, guys, normally I would run the outro, but I already did. Oh, and you know, I actually had a special shout-out request from Pop's 2 cents.
Oh.
He actually got up some coding videos, apparently.
Well, get your ass over there and watch them, folks.
Awesome.
So, Pop's 2 cents, Popz, TWOCENTS. I have no idea how he came up with that name.
We put a link in the video description.
I suppose we could do
Because
that.
people are lazy. We got to do that.
Well, it's only going to matter to those people who made it to the end, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well,
So,
those are the diehard ones.
all right. Well, I'm not running the outro because I already did it while you guys were talking about Linux. And
All
it
right,
was-
so let's all make funny faces and say bye.
Bye.
Bye. And Jay's just gonna let it run as an email.